Every entrepreneur has one fear that keeps them awake at night. For some, it's failure, the thought of pouring everything into a business only to watch it crumble. For others, it's rejection, simply hearing no again and again until the doubt sets in. And for many, it's uncertainty. The simple truth is that nobody really knows if the next step will pay off. But here's the thing, fear isn't just normal. You see, fear is universal. Even the most successful entrepreneurs you admire have wrestled with it. The difference is not that they don't feel fear, is that they've learned to use it. And so that's why today I'm going to show you how you can too. Because the very thing that you're afraid of right now might be the exact signal that you're moving in the right direction. Because fear is universal. Now, if you've ever thought I shouldn't feel this scared, real entrepreneurs don't feel like this. Well, let me stop you right there. You see, every single one of them does. Think about it. Elon Musk has admitted he feared Tesla would collapse multiple times. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, was terrified people would laugh at her product. And Jeff Bezos has said flat out that most of what Amazon tried early on simply didn't work. And the risk of failure was always in the back of his mind. So what separates them from the thousands of entrepreneurs who never break through? Well, it's simple. They didn't let fear dictate their next move. They felt it, they acknowledged it, and they acted anyway. Now, in fact, fear is usually a sign that you're on the right path. You see, it means you're about to do something that truly matters. It means the stakes are high enough that the outcome will shape your future. And that's exactly where growth lives. But before we can tackle fear, we need to understand what it actually looks like. So let's cover 4 core entrepreneurial fears. Because when you strip it down, almost every fear in business falls into one of these 4 categories. The first category is fear of failure. You see, this is a big one. The thought that if you mess up, you'll lose your money, your time, maybe even your reputation. It's why so many people sit on the sidelines with a great idea, but never actually launch. The second category is fear of rejection. You see, sales calls, cold calls, pitching investors, walking into a business and introducing yourself. Rejection is brutal because it feels personal. It's not just your offer isn't right. It feels like you aren't right. And that sting of no stops a lot of entrepreneurs before they even start. Now, the third category is fear of uncertainty. You see, this is a fear of the unknown. Now, you can build the best plan in the world, but there are no guarantees, and our brains hate that. You see, it's safer to stick with what's known, even if what's known is miserable. Now, fourth is a fear of success. Now, this one may sound strange, but it's very real. You see, some people are terrified of actually winning. And because success brings new responsibility, it exposes you. It forces you to operate at a higher level. And deep down, some entrepreneurs wonder, what if I really can't handle it? So, do you recognize yourself in one of these 4? Good. Because once you name your fear, you can start to beat it. And that's why fear is fuel and not a stop sign. You see, most people think fear means stop. But what if fear is actually the green light? Here's the mindset shift. Fear shows up strongest when the stakes are real. And if the stakes are real, that means the upside is worth it. You see, Alex Hormozi put it in this way in his book, $100 million Offers. The size of the risk is usually proportional to the size of the reward. So if you're terrified, it's probably because you're standing in front of something that could actually change your life. Think about it. Asking your first client for $1,000 a month feels scary, right? Why? Because what if they say yes? It changes your entire business. Posting your first video feels terrifying. Why? Because if it lands, it can alter your career. Fear is not a warning sign that you're off track. It's proof that you're on the right one. The trick is not eliminating fear, however, but learning how to move forward while it's still there. So, how do you do that? So let's break it down into a simple framework. Step one. First, let's identify the fear clearly. Most people stop at, I'm just scared. That's not enough. You see, you need to write down exactly what you're afraid of. For example, maybe you say to yourself, I'm afraid to ask for $1,000 because I think they'll laugh and say no. Is that a real one? Step two, reduce it into numbers. Think about it. What's the worst case scenario? What's the actual probability it happens? Most of the time we imagine the worst, like being laughed out of a room. And when in reality, the worst that can actually happen is a polite no. And then you move on. Step three, counter with preparation. You see, fear feeds on uncertainty. The more prepared you are, however, the less oxygen fear has. That means building cash buffers, rehearsing your sales pitch, practicing conversations. As Hormozy says in $100 Million Leads, volume cures doubt. So the more reps you take, the less scary it becomes. Step four, exposure therapy. Now, this is the unglamorous part. The only way to truly kill fear is to do the one thing you're afraid of. Start small. Make one cold call. Post one piece of content online. Ask one client for the bigger price. Over time, your brain actually rewires itself. And what was terrifying one day becomes normal the next. I'll give you an example. The first time I made a cold call, honestly, my hands were shaking. I could feel it in the back of my throat, a shiver of cold rising up my spine. However, by the 50th call, I was cracking jokes with strangers. You see, nothing changed except repetition. And that's the beauty of fear. You see, it shrinks in direct proportion to your willingness to face it. So, what should you do then? Well, let's work on turning fear into leverage, because we want to flip that script. Instead of just overcoming fear, what if you could actually use it to your advantage? You see, fear of losing can drive relentless preparation. Think of an athlete, for example, who trains harder than everyone else because they're terrified of simply losing the championship. That fear becomes fuel. So fear of rejection can sharpen your skills. You see, if you hate hearing no, you'll refine your pitch until people start saying yes. And that edge makes you unstoppable. Fear of uncertainty can make you more adaptable. You see, entrepreneurs who embrace uncertainty innovate faster than those who cling to predictability. And fear of success? Well, that one pushes you to build systems and teams so you can scale without collapsing. You see, as $100 Million Leads reminds us, the scariest thing isn't rejection, it's obscurity. Nobody knowing you exist is far more dangerous than a few people simply saying no. Which means fear doesn't have to be the enemy. It can be the exact advantage that sets you apart. All right, let me share a few quick stories. There was an entrepreneur who was terrified of sales. Let's call him John. The thought of cold calling made him sick. But instead of hiding, John leaned into it. He made a deal with himself. One call a day, no excuses. Now, within a year, he was closing more deals than anyone else on his team. The thing he feared most became his strongest skill. Now, another founder, Bill, he feared failure so much he became obsessed with preparation. He double-checked numbers, tested offers, validated ideas before he even launched. Now, at first, people mocked him for over-preparing. But when others burned out chasing shiny objects, his preparation paid off. His fear turned into a moat. And then there was the entrepreneur, Stacy, who feared success. Now, sounds odd, but she worried that if her business grew, she'd lose her freedom. Now, instead of letting that paralyze her, she focused on building systems and delegating early. As a result, her business started to scale smoothly, and she had more freedom than ever. What's the common thread? Fear didn't go away, it was simply redirected. So, here's the part that no one talks about. Fear feels massive in the moment, but give it time and it shrinks. Think back to your first job interview. You were probably nervous, but now looking back, it seems laughable, right? Why? Because experience reframes fear. Entrepreneurship is the same. The things that terrify you now, asking for a client, posting online, raising your prices, won't even register a year from now because fear shrinks as your vision grows. When you zoom out and realize that your mission, your goals, your family's future are bigger than a single moment of fear, it suddenly loses its power. And that's why entrepreneurs who stick it out always find clarity. You see, fear doesn't disappear, but compared to your vision, it becomes small enough to step over. So let's bring it home. Fear is universal. Every entrepreneur has it. The question isn't whether you'll feel fear, it's what you'll do with it. Will you let it stop you, or will you flip it, use it, and let it drive you forward? Because what if fear isn't your enemy at all? What if it's your best business partner? The one that tells you exactly where the breakthrough lives. The things you fear most right now might be the very thing that unlocks your next level. And if you want to face those fears alongside other entrepreneurs doing the same, I've got something for you. I built a community just for you. You see, for more on these type of topics, as well as other money-making topics, I want you to check out our new community, GHL Money Labs, where we break down and apply proven frameworks from the $100 million series by Alex Hormozy, and we apply that to high-level agency businesses and their customers. You don't have to face these fears alone. You see, in this community, we go step by step through the strategies, the tools, and the mindsets that are going to help you not just manage fear, but turn it into real results. So I encourage you, check the link in the description below to find out more.